All right, let's do this. This video is called Body Positivity, Healthy or Fat Acceptance? Common Ground Conversations, Episode 9. I found this. I thought it was interesting. I will say, though, that, like, you know, if you're, I don't know what the question healthy. It's not healthy or fat acceptance. Fundamentally, let's be honest. Every movement, including the fat positivity movement, which could probably use a little more movement. Am I right, guys? Takes things too far. You know, we're seeing a lot of feminism nowadays that's focusing more on breaking down men rather than building up women. We're seeing a lot of manosphere male advocacy that's focusing more energy on breaking down women than building up men. And we'll say, when it comes to this, when it comes to fat acceptance, I think some of it's gone too far, where they talk about how it's healthy. Fundamentally, the idea of accepting yourself and it being like okay to be fat is more of a mental health check for people who are overweight, to say, like, listen, you're worth it. It's okay that you're overweight, but you should make positive changes. It's about loving your body so that you stop hurting your body, right? Because overeating is hurting your body. That's what it's about. It's about, like, you know, having some more representation in the media of, like, more bodies that might be more realistic, because there's more fat people now, to make people feel more comfortable. You could say some things have gone wrong in some capacity. The reality is a lot of this is a reactionary movement to fat people being completely shamed to death. So when you have, like, a billboard with a woman who's overweight on it, and you're like, oh, why is this happening? It's because of everybody's shitting on fat women specifically, because they shit on women more than men. And, like, they just want to feel like they don't have to end their own lives every time they walk outside. That's pretty much it, man. It's not that deep. You could, I think, call the stuff out that goes too far. It says that, like, you can be healthy. Like, you can be technically healthy at any size. You could be. And I would say, generally speaking, you should engage in eating habits that are healthy. And as long as you're going to the doctor and they're saying, hey, you're doing okay, then God bless you. That's really what matters more than anything else. But, you know, and that's another thing, too. Focus on being healthier rather than losing weight. I know it sounds weird because you're going to end up losing weight if you eat healthier. But I feel like when people focus too much on losing weight, then they crash diet and it doesn't work. Whereas if you focus on eating healthy, you know, you will lose weight, but it's a little bit more of a sustainable practice. You know, yeah, that's a good, yeah. Shouldn't encourage it, but it shouldn't shame people. Pretty simple. Absolutely. A lot of people are eating, stress eating and stuff. So, you know, a lot of it has to do with basically coping, body coping. Oh.
I can't.
Whoa, we skipped ahead.
I can't do the fat people. No, it's not okay to be fat.
Start with this as a basis, right? So
no, I can't look at that. Sorry. Do you want a fat person waddling? They can't walk because their thighs are so big.
Yeah, but I do believe in physics.
This woman's based. That's funny. Like, she's being a bit insensitive, but it's just funny. All people are funny, bro.
The calorie intake and increase the calorie expenditure, you will lose weight. I can look at people and say, this person is overweight and does not take care of themselves.
I don't think you should, though.
Why not?
Because that's unfair. You don't know that person.
No, I think that's totally chill, man. You can, if you look at me and go, this guy doesn't take care of himself, that's fine. That's fair. That's fair. It's not about policing the way that you think about things. It's about not being outwardly disrespectful. You can have whatever internal prejudice you want. We all are working through prejudices every day. You don't have to be like, oh man, this guy's healthy. No. It's just so you don't need to insert your opinion onto it. Because the reality is that I know that people maybe not understand this, but I know what you're thinking. I already know this guy should lose weight. You're right. This guy should eat better. You're right. And unfortunately, throughout my life, I've done a really good job of having really unhealthy coping mechanisms. And it's getting better. I've been actually losing weight. You know, but it's like the eternal struggle, and you're not going to say anything that's going to make me have a better outcome for me. You know, you look at me with a look of disgust isn't going to make me feel better about myself, and it's not going to motivate me to lose weight. You might cope by going like, yeah, this guy, you know, if I bully this fat person, if I stare at him real hard, he'll just magically lose weight. It's not going to happen. It's actually just going to depress me, right? And it's going to you know what I mean? That's how most people think, man. I mean, I personally am not really going to care, but that's the general consensus idea of it, you know? So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Diagnosed with anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. I have known women who were born fat and they have starved themselves into eating disorders because of perspectives like that.
What do you think the core message of the body positivity movement
is
fair. At the moment?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's good to be focused more on being healthy rather than losing weight, even though you will lose weight if you're eating healthy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Common Ground Conversations, where we ask the important but controversial questions.
I will say, though, just with like this type of content, and I'm all for it, but, you know, be my guest. God bless you. Do what you want to do. But I'm always apprehensive about these types of like on the street content, because a lot of times people will go go there with a narrative, and then they'll push that narrative. I'm not saying he is doing this or he will do this. I'm just saying that it can happen very easily. You know, you go out there for 4 or 5 hours, and then you come back, and you got, what is this video? This video is an hour long. You know, highly edited content, so you can kind of cherry pick some information, you know what I mean, that may not be that may try to display the way you feel about things, right, rather than what you're actually getting on the street. But
Common ground. Now, in today's episode, we're back at Flinders Street Station, Melbourne, and we're going to be asking the question: body positivity, is it healthy, or has it become an excuse for unhealthy fat acceptance? Let's see.
I think it's both. I think it's like a little bit of both, you know what I mean. I think that some people have taken it and gone too far.
What people have
to
say. Body positivity sounds pretty good, right? Everybody's got a body, so why not be positive about it? Well, think again, because behind the seemingly noble branding of the movement are growing concerns with regard to the quality of advice coming from the space and its so-called models.
Oh no, she didn't!
And if we're calling a spade, let's be real. Plus size is just a 21st century code word for being fat. Now, what's the current state of affairs?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a way to respectfully say someone's overweight without being disrespectful. Sure.
In Australia, 1 in 4 children and 2 in 3 adults are overweight or obese.
True. And here's the thing, is that I think that people think that it's body positivity, even the toxic parts of it, are the primary reason why we have more fat people. But the truth is the reason why we have more fat people is because we have bad habits. Technology removes the necessity to go outside, basically. You have parents raising their kids in front of a TV screen. You have just frankly bad things going on, okay? You have really addictive foods being, shuffled to the forefront. A lot of it is a culture that doesn't really advocate for, eating well or cooking your own food. And the reality is that fat people coping, myself obviously included, and being like, hey, stop making fun of me for being fat. That's not the reason we have more fat people. It's not even close to the reason we have more fat people. We have fat people because of bad habits that have just been happening over the world. Bad food options, and laziness. And let's fight those. You know, let's get that gym class that's centralized around walking. You might be like, that's stupid. Why walking? Imagine teaching your kid to walk a half hour every single day. And they just did that forever. They are going to be a lot healthier. So
US, the figures are similar.
Unhealthy food is cheaper and cheaper. They put preservatives in it. It keeps it around longer. Shelf life goes up. So does our weight. Not good. It also is the addictiveness level of it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Worsening. From 2000 to 2020, the obesity prevalence increased from roughly 31% to 42%. Keep that trend up, and in 20 years, 1 in 2 people, half of the population, is not just overweight but obese.
I will say, like some of the gauges for overweight, though, just for context, they gauge it based on BMI. BMI is not like the most accurate. There is a study done that says like the overweight classification of BMI is like a bit healthier than the regular one, but that's not like overweight like. It's like if your normal weight's 140 pounds and you should be 160 pounds instead. It's not like, hey guys, it's cool to be morbidly obese and 350 pounds. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I think BMI is a little bit dated, but it's not like the greatest system to really measure things by. But
completely avoidable risk of all the associated health complications. So
all I'm saying is that we probably overclassify some of the overweight. Like some people probably aren't as overweight or as bad as it seems, but it's still not a good thing.
We have a problem, and yes, it needs addressing, not a euphemistic.
No. We have a problem. We need less dressing. Okay? Too much dressing on your food is why we have this problem in the first place.
The rug. So let's come back to fundamentals. What exactly is body positivity? According to Wiki, the gold standard of online referencing, quote, body positivity is a social movement focused on the acceptance of all bodies, regardless of size, shape, skin tone, gender, and physical abilities, while challenging present-day beauty standards and
most fat people. It's mostly about fat people nowadays.
Where we can find common ground here is that people should respect their bodies. You only get one, so take care of it. And further, Mother Nature does not endow her gifts evenly. God does have favorites. We're each dealt a set of cards at birth. We might not have won the genetic lottery. You might be short. I might have asymmetric features. Some other person might have a severe physical deformity. But what are we going to do about it? Complain for the rest of our lives, or accept what we can't change and focus on what we can? If body positive.
Well, I guess if you're accepting, well, you can change it though. But I guess if you accept it, well, I guess you could change it though. So, but that's what it's about. It's like accepting that you're fat and then kind of like doing better. But anyway, let's continue.
It means taking good care of your body whilst also accepting that which you cannot change and focusing on what you can.
What dinner do you want, baby? Let me know. You want to go out for sushi? You want to go out for Texas Day Brazil? Let me know. Talk about eating healthy. Actually, when we get sushi, we eat we get like whole grain sushi. It's actually really good. It's pretty decent for you too. I'll get like the sushi with the brown rice, get some fish. Decent meal.
then I am all aboard. Where I take issue with the movement is the propagation of scientific lies.
Stop the cap.
And worse, some of the claims aren't just lies, they are literal untruths. They run in direct opposition to what is verifiably true. The two main claims I take issue with are: one, you can be healthy at every size, and
But that's the thing, is like you can be healthy at every size, like objectively. So here's the thing. That doesn't mean you can be healthy at my size. But like, again, like you will generally be healthier, obviously, if you are not overweight. I'm not denying that at all. But you can be a bit overweight and you can be healthy, and it's okay. Like, that's the thing. Focus on the health aspect and the size aspect. Like, if I'm 344 pounds, if I get down to 280, I'll probably be pretty healthy. The healthiest I was like 300 pounds, doing like a lot of like strongman and stuff. I'm not saying that it's ideal to be fat. What I'm saying is that like life is not ideal, and I think we focus too much on the ideals. People be like, well, you shouldn't be fat, but then they'll go out and they'll drink alcohol every weekend. You shouldn't be drinking alcohol. You shouldn't be fat, but then they'll go out and smoke cigarettes. Life isn't ideal. You shouldn't drink alcohol. You shouldn't smoke cigarettes. You shouldn't be fat. You shouldn't eat fast food. You shouldn't do anything that's bad. You shouldn't have dairy. You shouldn't eat sugar. You shouldn't do a lot of things. The reality is, as long as you're going to your doctor and you're keeping up on your diet, or you're keeping up on like your blood work and everything's solid, get your exercise in, do your thing, it's okay. It's not about being ideal. It's about being better than, right? That's what it's about. That's what it's about. If you just make dinner when you get home, though, maybe it's no big deal. That's what it's more about, right? I think that maybe people are misinterpreting it in both ways. Like, people like him are probably just like, no, that's not true if you look at it. And then, but people that are fat are probably like, yeah, see, this is my excuse to go have another donut. It's like, no, you shouldn't be eating like that. You know, you should keep your levels in check and work to make your body better. But you can technically be healthy at every size. Obviously, being fat is going to potentially increase complications. But again, we don't live the ideal world with ideal everything.
two, everyone is beautiful. Both are false, and here's why. Firstly, one, you can be healthy at every size, and two, everyone is beautiful.
So everyone is beautiful is like, again, it's like a cope. It's really just about like making people not want to hurt themselves. Not everybody's going to be objectively beautiful. Well, nobody's objectively beautiful technically, but you get my point. But like so the concept of like everyone's beautiful. And again, I'm not saying everybody looks at it like this, even the fat people. They might use some of it as an excuse to not help work on their bodies, but it's just about like, bro, you're worth like loving. You're okay. You're okay. You're attractive. Some people, like, I'm overweight. People find me attractive. Am I like the societal standard? No. Would it be better if I lost weight, if I wanted to find another mate? Sure. I don't want to, but generally, you get my point. But like, everybody is beautiful. It's just about like having some self-confidence. It's not like it's not this huge thing. I feel like you have to know that. I'm like, Westlife's full? What? It's crazy.
Both are false, and here's why. Firstly, the claim that you can be healthy at every size. According to the CDC, being overweight puts you at, quote, increased risk of many serious health diseases and health conditions, and
for sure. But that doesn't mean that you can't be healthy being a bit overweight.
quote, including, according to the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, quote, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, some musculoskeletal conditions, and some cancers, end quote, just to name a few. Further, as the level of excess weight increases, so does the risk of developing these conditions. So, in short, being fat is unequivocally unhealthy. To claim otherwise means you've never seen a severely overweight individual try to function normally in—
So I don't like that. It's like this idea of like, yeah, see, people say you can be healthy at every size, and then he's like, no, you can't. Look at this morbidly obese person. Well, no fucking shit, bro. A morbidly obese person cannot be healthy regardless of the size that they are. But like, again, if like, let's say the ideal weight of your body is like 160 pounds and you're like 180, you might be okay. You might be healthy. You might be decent. You might be able to survive, that's all it's about, man. Health at every size, what it's supposed to be about. Let me not just say that's what it is about, because there are probably some fucking nuts. So,
society, or you're overly committed to a misguided body positivity tenet that flies in the face of both common sense and science.
What you're using is common sense. And I hate common sense.
Now the second claim, everyone is beautiful. I will give the devil its due here. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but unfortunately, for the ardent social constructionists out there, our eyes and our instincts are largely a product of, dare I say it, the dreaded B word. Biology. There is an evolutionary reason why most women are attracted to muscular men, Adonis, as opposed to fat and sloppy dad bods, and why most men are attracted to fit chicks with hourglass physiques, not obese body positivity activists. This everyone is beautiful attitude is born of a pathological overcompassion that at all costs wants to protect people's feelings. For those of you familiar with Jordan Peterson or Carl Jung's work, this, as far as I'm concerned, is a manifestation of the archetypal devouring mother. To put it simply, lads, it doesn't matter how many times your mummy says you're beautiful just the way you are, and ladies, it doesn't matter how many yas queens you get from the girls. If you are fat, you are factually unattractive to the large majority of the opposite sex.
Sure. Again, I think it just comes down to like the displaying of information. If you said like, listen, you shouldn't be fat, you should you should work. Okay, if you said, listen, you should work to be as healthy as possible, have better eating habits, and naturally you lose weight, which is going to be a good thing because overall being less obese, less fat is good for your body. If you said that's fine, that's obviously true. If you said like, hey, you're going to be considered more attractive to people if you lose weight, that's fine too. These are respectful ways to display factual information. But if you just go around and be like, yeah, you're a fucking fat, disgusting animal, like that's obviously disrespectful. And that's what it's about. It's like, hey, keep your comments to yourselves. People already know. And to be honest with you, just so you know, the overwhelming majority of fat people don't live in this delusional fucking crazy land where they think that like it's totally based to be fucking overweight as shit. Most of us know, and it's just like, you know, when you call on it, it can be frustrating, especially for women. Okay.
Truth can hurt, but if you have the character to stomach it, it can also be good to know. Now, to be uber clear, before we dive into
again, like fat people know that they're kind of ugly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just saying, it's not. There's some delusional ones out there, but most of the time we already kind of know. So it's like you're like, yeah, did you know you're ugly? Yeah, I fucking bro, I knew it. I fucking look in that mirror every day. Okay, just relax. Okay, you're not helping.
Saying that someone should lose weight because they hold an unhealthy amount of body fat is not the same as saying that person has no moral worth. For those of you itching to get offended,
that's fair.
That's not deliberately.
That's fair. That's the problem. Is a lot of people will say that like fat people have no fucking worth because they're fat. That's what the biggest problem is. People will look at, especially women, and be like, "Oh, you're fat. You have no worth because you're an overweight person." It's like, holy fuck. Like, you know, that's again, it's the intentional disrespect. It's the desire to be disrespectful is the priority in a lot of people's heads, you know? It's crazy.
Misinterpret perfectly reasonable position rooted in science and bodily respect as fat phobic or an assault on one's moral worth. It's not denying the existence or the validity of fat people. And no, that is not my skinny privilege speaking. And lastly, I'd like to finish with a quote from Will Smith. Self-discipline is self-love. Perhaps all of this comes down to a perverse sense of what it means to love yourself.
What is love?
Self-love shouldn't mean gluttony and inadequate exercise in the name of so-called acceptance and positivity. Is it really self-love to accept your unhealthy behaviors? Is it really self-love to be positive about how poorly you're taking care of this one and only body that you have been gifted? With all that said, you now have some context, you now know my position. Let's dive into the first conversation of the day. Enjoy.
Today's question is body positivity. Is it healthy, or has it become an excuse for unhealthy fat acceptance? What do you think?
I'd like to start by saying I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. I'm recovered from both of those. I had treatment at the Royal Children's Hospital.
Thank you for being so forthright.
Thank you. And I have been clinically underweight. I have been medically underweight. I have suffered immensely because I was underweight. There are numerous studies that have proven that being 10 pounds underweight or a few kilos underweight is far more dangerous for your health and mental health, physical health, than being what we classify as overweight. Have you heard of the BMI system?
Yeah, I have.
So that BMI system wasn't made by a doctor. It was made by a mathematician. And he wasn't actually looking at individual people's bodies. So everybody is different. A medication I might take might be really good for me, and it might do some adverse things to you. Same for food, same for everything in our lives. Just to clarify, yeah.
I wonder whether we can find common ground here with the BMI scale.
Yeah.
I know that it's a crude measure of to be used for something like where is there a healthy or unhealthy body fat percentage. I do think that it still has some utility.
For sure, it gives a very rough scale about where someone's weight might sit appropriately for them. For some people, having lots of body fat might be unhealthy for them, and then in another person, if they tried to lose that weight, it may cause very dire side effects for them. Some people have absolutely no health issues at all in what we see as fat, and there's nothing wrong with being fat. You may have medical issues, but I had severe medical issues as an underweight person. It really depends on the individual. Fat acceptance is really just about saying, as a fat person,
I'd love to unpack each of these terms with you. So body positivity.
Body positivity.
What does that mean for you? What do you think is the... Perhaps I'd love to ask, what does that mean for you?
For me,
but then also, what do you think the core message of the body positivity movement is at the moment?
At its core, it's about saying regardless of the size of your body, whether you're thin or fat, you're still worthy of acceptance and love. Maybe you're trying to lose... exactly. Maybe you're trying to lose weight. Maybe you're trying to maintain...
I will say one thing. I can respect that. I can respect this guy specifically because this is the first conversation that he's putting in there. I doubt it's the first conversation that he had of the day. But like I said earlier, it's like, you know, people can run with a narrative very quickly. And the guy put in like a girl who's clearly very educated on what she's talking about when it comes to like body positivity shit. So I can respect the fact that he like immediately popped that in there for us all to see, and he didn't come out there like being like, oh, fat people are disgusting animal pig fucks. You know what I mean?
And your weight. It's really just about saying in a society that very highly prioritizes thinness over fatness, it's still saying you're worthy of acceptance. You don't deserve to be ridiculed or bullied or made to feel lesser than a thin person.
I think where it gets tricky is how do we define love? right? Because if we say that regardless of your weight, you are worthy of love and you ought to have a loving relationship with your body, what does that look like? Because for some people, and this kind of takes me down the rabbit hole of conditional and unconditional love, one of the quotes that I love is by Will Smith, and he said that self-love is discipline. It's having the discipline to say, I love my body too much to feed it an unhealthy amount of calories to the point where, and to not take care of it, say with exercise, to the point where I have an amount of body fat that is unhealthy. So do you see, whereas another person might say that love means no matter what, you should be content with your body.
Contentness isn't necessarily dependent on love. I think love is...
That's an interesting question. Okay. Listen, I'm not going to deny that there are going to be people who will probably misinterpret body positivity as saying, fuck it, I might as well just be fat. But what I will say is that overall, like, you could look, like, bullying people, generally speaking, when people feel depressed, especially fat people who are most likely cope eating, they're eating to you know, cope, them being depressed is just going to cause them to be fatter. It's just going to cause them to double down and be like, I don't care about myself. I don't care about my body. Who cares? The only thing that makes me happy is food. I'm not worth anything. I'm not worth any love. I don't care. I might as well just eat. That's what's going to happen. Because when people constantly berate you and tear you down and be like, you're disgusting, you're an animal, you're this, it just makes people feel shittier, and they just, you know, rely on to whatever coping mechanisms, which tend to be unhealthy. The concept is like, hey, listen, and by the way, we need to do a better job at expressing it like this. The concept's just like, hey, you know, you're overweight. That's okay. Like, it's going to be okay. It's okay that you exist. It's okay that you're overweight, because this isn't going to be something that stops tomorrow. And you shouldn't hate yourself for being overweight, but you should love yourself and try to focus on being better. Because if you hate yourself, like, you're not going to change in a day. It takes you a very long time to lose weight, obviously. You know, or rather, it takes a while to get to a healthy weight, depending on how overweight you are. And that's really more what it's about. I don't think that it's empowering most people to overeat. I think that there's probably obviously going to be some people who are going to be like irresponsible with it, and they're going to just use it as an excuse to not give a fuck. But those people are never going to give a fuck. There's always going to be like negatives to everything, right? That's just kind of like the reality. But I think that the overwhelming majority of people is going to help. And again, people aren't fat because of body positivity. People are fat because of people are fat more than anything else, because of like really unhealthy eating habits and, like, you know, shitty FDA. Well, this is a different country, but, you know, there's a high prevalence of like fast foods that are quick to come out. You know, there's a lot of sedentary lifestyles now. Those are the problems that you have to combat more. You know, teaching better eating habits in schools, frankly, is probably going to be more important than anything else. Teaching kids to go outside, you know.
It's just saying, you can be as you are. There shouldn't be such a negative emphasis on your body. Maybe you are overweight, maybe you do want to lose that weight, and you've decided that's in your best interest for you. That's fine, but we shouldn't, I think it comes down to love, in that we shouldn't look at a person and say, you need to change because of my belief. It should really be up to the individual.
So if, let's say, for example, that there was someone, I'd love to run this experiment, this kind of thought experiment with you, where we do it for an overweight person and then an underweight person. So let's say that we had a severely overweight person, and to the point where it was clearly unhealthy. And do you think that they ought to be told, you are at an unhealthy weight and you ought to take better care of your body by doing ABC? And then flip side of that question is, would you give the same messaging to someone who's underweight?
I think what it comes down to...
So here's the biggest thing that people miss the mark on. Should we be saying this to people? No. You shouldn't be going up to an overweight person and being like, you're fat. Just let the doctor do that. That's the doctor's responsibility. We socially don't have to be responsible for it. When we don't need to make it specific. Now, when it comes to being general, you know, you shouldn't be severely under or overweight. Those are bad things. But you don't need to walk up to somebody and be like, hey, like, you know, you don't need to coach that person unless there's somebody that's like in your life. And like, you know, that you do it in a respectful way, of course. But like, that's a doctor's responsibility. And that's a lot of what the body positivity is about too, is like, keep your mouth shut, keep your perspective to yourself, because it's really not that helpful. You know, you're not going to make me change because the random guy that's never struggled with your weight, said that I shouldn't be fat. Like, no fucking kidding, right? My doctor is going to have a better chance of having a positive impact on that than anything else. So you specifically don't need to say anything.
And to someone can, I think there's a really missed idea is that you can be what we classify as overweight or fat and have absolutely no issues with your body. There are many women with polycystic ovarian system disease who we look at and say you're fat, but it's a metabolic issue, and they still may have healthy bodies otherwise. It's simply the way their metabolism works that they are fatter than other people. Same for people with thyroid issues.
I imagine that they would still have. Like, I want to acknowledge the point that there may be some exception cases where there are other variables that make it very, very, very difficult for people to be at a healthy
For
weight.
sure, yeah.
Even those people who are at a heavier weight or have a higher body fat percentage, I imagine that they would also still be at greater risk of things like heart disease.
Yeah, and
so,
that is quite a recognised thing in our culture, but again, it's entirely up to the individual. I can't look at your body and say you have X, Y, and Z wrong with you or right with you because of the way your body
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
You
So
can't say the same for me. I can't say to a fat person you have this wrong with you or you have
okay,
this
this might be where we part
but-
ways in terms of common ground, but I want to share with you my position. Let's see where
I'll
we can
listen to you.
kind of put our finger on where we disagree. So I kind of think of a color gradient where if we were looking at yellow and how it gradually turns into, say, orange, you and I, if I asked you, hey, where does it become orange? You might draw a particular line, and I might say, well, I think the line is a little bit this way, but we can still agree that there is a yellow over there and an orange over here. And I would say we can do the same thing with weight, where we can say, here is a healthy-ish range around this area, but we can very clearly point over there and say that is an unhealthy underweight individual, and this is an unhealthy overweight individual. Would we find common ground there?
I would disagree because health is subjective. Again, are you a doctor?
Well, no, health's not subjective. First of all, I really like what she's saying. We're kind of getting into like a weird territory. The problem with what I have with this line of questioning is nothing malicious. It's just unrealistic, right? So this is where we get to a point where it's like, hey, let's start putting up scenarios. So like before, he did a really good scenario. Hey, what if there's a morbidly obese woman? Would it be okay for us to coach them? No, it's not, because it's not your place. It's the doctor's responsibility. You don't need to shame them. Okay. Now, if you scenario number 2, your kid is starting to gain like a bit of weight. What do we do there? Have your kid go to the doctor to see if they're in a healthy weight range. You know, kids can gain weight, right? It starts to personalize this in a way where like we start to talk about like the specific scenarios. Hey, you have a friend and you notice that they're eating a lot and they're gaining a lot of weight and like they're miserable. What do you do then? I think it's okay to approach them and say, hey man, I noticed you're going through something. But in most of these scenarios, like you're not going to walk up to somebody and like give them this advice. You know what I mean? It's about general education. Like you shouldn't be pointing at a fat person going, oh, that's disgusting. But at the same time, you shouldn't teach your kid to be like them, right? Like I would never, if I saw a really fat person, and I'm fat, but like a really fat person, and I had a kid and they saw them, and you know, I wouldn't point them out and say, don't be like that. But if it came up, my kid would know that that's like unhealthy and it's not good, but you should just know not to bully that person. That's really what it comes down to, man. You know? That's true. A lot of times doctors don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Listen, a doctor can understand your levels, right? But some doctors can be a bit regressive when it comes to dealing with like issues of overweight. Doctors need to be educated better too. It's a whole thing, because sometimes doctors like like one time my wife and I are overweight. My wife has psoriasis and she had like a psoriasis attack, and then she went into the doctor's office and they're like, you don't have psoriasis, you're just fat. That's literally what they said. They didn't say like, hey, your weight might be contributing to, you know, your unhealthy eating habits, or your weight might be contributing to this. Here's some cream, we recommend that you do this. They're just like, you're just fat, that's your problem. And it's like, dude, that's these doctors they're fucking dumb. Another thing that's frustrating when it comes to doctors is like it's weird, bro. Like I've gone to the doctor before, and you know, to get my stuff together, you know, get my medication that I'm going to need, because you know, one of the things is if you're unhealthy, you need to get your medication so that you can feel more motivated to go and get your shit together, because it'll give you more energy, it'll make you happier overall. So I go to the doctor. I got to do like regular checkups and all that. The doctor, if you go in there and I had a doctor that was so frustratingly obsessed with me losing weight. And it's a good thing to lose weight, but when I would go in, it wouldn't be like, okay, what's your weight at? Okay, I see that you didn't lose any weight. Like, you know, work on that next time. That's great. But they would just be like, oh, you didn't lose weight. What happened? Why didn't you do this? It's like, I'm a 32-year-old grown man. Like, the fact that you're harassing me about this doesn't make me want to come back to the doctor's office. So there's a difference between being like, you know, there obviously needs to be a conversation about the exact way that some people should be treated for different things. That the instances where doctors will focus too much on weight, even though it is a factor when it comes to a particular issue. But generally speaking, it is a doctor's place to talk to you about your weight, whereas it's not fucking Joey off the street, you know, selling me a hot dog, being like, you know, you're fat. And it's like, well, you know, I'm that's how you have a job. That's why you're selling so many hot dogs. You know what I mean?
Have you studied medicine? Are you a doctor?
I actually did study medicine for 4
Yeah.
years.
Okay. Well then.
I don't mean,
No,
but
I respect that,
I get your point.
Yeah,
I
but
get your
unless you
point.
had an individual patient, and I guess you assessed all of their medical needs, all of their background, all of their history, their predispositions for certain illnesses, we probably wouldn't be able to just look at a person on the street and tell them what might be wrong with their body.
We shouldn't
Again, it
tell
comes
them,
down
but
to
you
the
could.
individual level.
Okay, so if we
If you saw me on the street and you thought that guy could probably lose some weight, that's okay. Think of that. You have every right to think it. Just you just don't need to tell me. That's what it's about to me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
So you tell me whether my sense is wrong here, but my sense is I could look at someone and if they are morbidly obese, I could point to them and say that person is unhealthy. In the same way that someone who is severely underweight, I could point to them and say they're unhealthy.
For sure.
Could you find common ground there?
That's an extreme, but it's just looking, when we look at fat acceptance and body positivity, it's really just saying that fat person, even though they're fat, they don't deserve to be ridiculed. They're worthy of sexual love, of romantic love, of acceptance in their community. Because
this is so interesting. I want to unpack that with you.
Sure.
So something that I think, again, we can come back to common ground where I think that anyone, regardless of their weight, should feel a sense of self-worth and know that I think they should have a positive relationship with their body. Right? And I don't think anyone would question that. Where we might differ.
See, the thing is, like, I respect this guy a lot. This is probably one of the best people that's anti-body positivity, or I would say like generally skeptical of body positivity. That's actually promoting a good message instead of just being a fucking goblin. There are a lot of people who will say, especially in like that manosphere, that fat people are just fundamentally not worth anything. It's unfortunate, and it's not a positive way to look at things. This guy's just like genuinely skeptical of some of the negatives that some of the body positivity movement can be bringing. He's not trying to shit on fat people. He's just like, hey, I think that this is a little unhealthy in this way, maybe from a societal perspective. I don't think that some of the advocacy doesn't feel like advocacy for fat people anymore. It feels almost like encouragement to be fat. I get what he's coming from. Like, I think that that's fair. But there are people who will just be like dunking on fucking fat people as much as possible, especially on the internet, bro. That is like that's the golden ticket, brother. And it is funny. Let's be honest, okay? It is funny, all right? But that's what it is. Yeah, he seems to actually care about this issue a lot.
Is I do think that in terms of feeling like you're worthy of sexual a love or what perhaps attraction from the opposite sex.
Do you disagree?
Yeah, I do disagree, and let me tell you why. And again, you point out where you think I might misstep. My sense is that, say, I'm a biological male and I'm attracted to biological females, and I think that it's my responsibility to become the type of partner that is attractive to the person that I'm trying to attract.
Exactly.
So and so if I were overweight, to me it seems like quite an entitled position to say I deserve sexual or love in the form of sexual attraction from the opposite sex.
I'm not I'm having a hard time understanding this point, because when I personalize it, I come to this realization that fat people exist, both male and female. So if I was a fat person, if I was a fat guy, I said I'm entitled for a skinny person to fuck me. And there are some fat people who do this, by the way. They'll be like the fat phobic. They'll be like, oh, if you won't date a fat person, you're fat phobic, which is ridiculous. It's not most fat people. It's just like fucking internet cloud goblin fucking idiots. Like, yeah, that's obviously a problem. But most fat people are just like, hey, I'm fat, and like it doesn't make me like a shitty person. And like there's plenty of fat people out there, to date. And hell, maybe you should even consider dating a fat person as a skinny person. Maybe they're a decent guy. You don't have to. But like the idea that like why fat people are deserving of like love, respect, sex, but like nobody's entitled to sex from you, right? Does it make sense? I mean, that's why this is like a bizarre way that we're thinking about this. These things are fucking giving me the old banana hammock. It's okay. I think I'm decent.
When I wonder whether the more realistic and perhaps more productive messaging is, if you would like to attract somebody, you ought to consider what exactly they're attracted to, and then what actions do you need to take to become that person.
I think that's very subjective again, and I have known women who were born fat and they had fat bodies from the time they were children.
Yeah, that's a good point. So my wife says he's still focused on the micro level of treating people individually instead of talking about the system that enables them to create such a severe obesity. Yeah, that's a great point. We're talking about like with the system we were talking about before. It has a lot to do with like food, inactivity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's true.
to becoming adult women, and they have starved themselves into eating disorders because of perspectives like that, because they believe that they're not worthy of sexual love or attention, and they have starved themselves into horrible illnesses like the one I went through. I want to come back to what you said about discipline.
Yeah, I'd love to also hear just on that. What do you think then? So for someone who's grown up perhaps overweight their entire life, they become an adult, they decide to change their behaviours, and obviously that seems like quite an extreme measure that doesn't seem productive. I think we would agree that starving yourself
when
is
there's
good.
such a hateful message in our culture.
Would you say that's hateful?
Yeah, I would. I would say
Okay.
when people are called...
What is it hateful about the messaging that I said?
I would say if you say someone's not worthy of love, of sexual love, because of the way their body looks, that's your opinion, but you don't get to dictate that for anyone else. You don't get to say what
That's
everyone else
fair,
might be
what you're
attracted
saying.
to, or if someone's worthy of receiving affection, because everybody is.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But would you say that on average, people tend to be attracted to people who are within a healthy weight range?
100,000%. Yeah, being less overweight is generally considered more attractive. Absolutely. Again, that's the respectful way to say it. Saying that you're being fat, you're not deserving of like love or sex or whatever, that's disrespectful. Saying, hey, being overweight is going to make it more difficult for you to date and it's unhealthy for you, that's great. Like, again, it's about a matter of respect and bringing stuff up. It's about acknowledging the facts, but like, what are you doing with those facts? Are you using those facts to be disrespectful to somebody, or are you using those facts to try to build somebody up? It's about building people up rather than tearing them down. That's really all it comes down to.
I would, because of our culture's emphasis on
Open the
fitness,
fucking
within the
chest.
standard.
Do you think that without that, people would be attracted to fat people?
I think they might be attracted to whatever they fancy. It's really, it's not a set
We're always going to have societal conditioning. Is what it is.
measure. Of course, it's influenced by our culture, but everybody is attracted to different things. People are attracted to different people, different hair
I would just say,
lengths.
on average, people tend to be attracted to people who are within a healthy weight range.
Or within the ideal of thinness, because of our culture's emphasis on thinness being beautiful.
Interesting. I'm not sure that we'll find common ground there, because I don't think that it's just culture. I think that there's also
Would you say it's
a nature.
societal?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be nature aspects as well, but there's nature and culture. It's a mixture between the two. Sure, I guess. I mean, I feel like it's like sometimes it's almost irrelevant to have conversations about the specifics of it, because you can never really, it's hard, you can't really exactly pinpoint where we start and end with nature versus, environment. I mean, let's say biology versus environment. It's hard to, come to that, but.
As in the nurture side of things? I think there's a combination. I think there's a combination.
Of course, physical strength, physical agility, muscle, biologically, that might show that's a partner who can provide for me who are out in the wild, who are battling animals, whatever, trying to survive.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Why don't you apply that to something like being overweight? Because I might see an overweight woman and think I wouldn't be surprised if, evolutionarily speaking, I have evolved to spot someone who is unhealthily overweight and say that actually represents a liability to my offspring.
Well, if we go, it's really cultural, because if we go back to Renaissance era, being fat was considered a sign of wealth. It meant you could provide for yourself, and meant that you ate well.
Yes.
That was desirable. It showed that you had cultural status.
So
Again, it's societal.
This is where I do agree with you that there is an element of nurture, but I also believe there is an element of nature. So I guess it's a little boring, but I'm in the middle. So I don't think it's all social, but I also don't think it's all nature.
I mean, this part of the conversation is like wholly irrelevant. Like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, you're free to choose whatever mate you want. And yeah, I know there are some crazies, but ultimately, like, there's no real actual like shaming movement of like you have to date this person. It gets a little crazy. There's some crazies, but we all acknowledge that they're fucking insane. Fat people and skinny people alike are like, dude, this fucking person that thinks that you have to date, them, or you're fat phobic is ridiculous. There's not like there's no societal movement, or government institutions saying like you got to fuck this guy or you are going to jail. You know what I mean? So
if we flip that, right, and again, I appreciate you being forthcoming with your own experience. I've also been quite close to some people who have gone through anorexia and bulimia for that matter. With someone who is severely underweight, what is the messaging that they need to hear when it comes to body positivity? And is it the same messaging that you would give to someone who is severely overweight?
Usually those people are extremely medically ill, and there's not really anything I can say, because recovery is everyone's own individual process. It's a very severe mental illness, and often it is brought on by cultural factors.
I'm sorry to jump in.
That's okay.
Why do you say that those individuals are severely medically ill, but then you don't say that for overweight people?
When we go through starvation, our brain chemistry changes.
Damn, she's on
different
point,
to that of a fat person or a person with a healthy or average body type.
Let's just say morbidly obese. Let's say
sure.
morbidly obese. So would you not say that they also have an illness?
If they were...
The problem is that we're taught. It's so weird, because one of the biggest issues I have is we're jumping around from fat to morbidly obese. I would say that there's something mental health wise wrong with somebody who's morbidly obese. I get what she's saying from a brain perspective. You're probably worse off being like incredibly underweight. So I get that. But like, stop comparing morbidly obese people, because somebody who's incredibly underweight isn't going to be the same as somebody who's like a bit overweight, right? These are even exaggerated. So it seems like he's a little bit inconsistent about his definitions of some of these things. He seems to be like constantly, because we're just talking about like regular fat people, right? Like where, you know, nobody's arguing that morbidly obese people are fucking awesome and the ideal, you know, body weight or anything like that. Yeah.
If they had a binge eating disorder, if that was a diagnosed eating disorder, for sure, the dopamine in our brains and what we go through in our thought process, if that was a diagnosed eating disorder, for sure, it would be similar. When we starve ourselves, we get those chemical highs. When we binge, we get those chemical highs. But again, it's something you need to work through with a health professional and your support team to recover from. Really, I just want to end with body positivity is about saying it doesn't matter what stage your body is at, where you are in terms of your journey, what you look like. It's just that you're worthy of love, that you don't deserve to be bullied starting from when you're little going in school, that you're rejected or ridiculed as you grow up. It's really just about, at its core, saying everybody is worthy, and no one should be shamed or ridiculed or go through pain simply because of the body that they're in.
Body. One last question before I let you go. I want to be respectful of your time here. Do you think that there is a healthy amount of shame to experience when you do things that you know you shouldn't? Say, for example, eating in a severe caloric surplus.
Should I? But the same thing.
It's an interesting question. I need to reflect on that question, because it's a decent question what he's asking. Is there a certain amount of shame that we should engage in when it comes to being fat? Basically, or is there a certain amount of shame that we should engage in when it comes to that lifestyle? Okay. So here's what I think of that question. The answer is yes. There's always a certain amount of shame for behaviors. In this instance, being overweight, there is a certain amount of shame people need to experience. But you know, the reality is people, it needs to be on a societal level. It's the amount of shame that should be experienced. It's good to acknowledge that it's not a good thing to be overweight. That would be that shame. So, you know, you'd be like, okay, this isn't good, right? But it shouldn't be so overwhelming that that it hurts you, where you're like, oh, I can't fix this anyway. I'm a disgusting animal anyway. I might as well not even try. Because that is something that some people will experience. The thing is like, you don't need to specifically shame any individual for their body. Like, you don't need to be like the personal, you know, you don't need to walk around and shame individual people for it, right? But yeah, for sure. It's an interesting question. Very different.
Goes for any kind of advice. Would I shame you for maybe drinking on a night out with your friends, or smoking cigarettes, or doing drugs?
So do you think that
I wouldn't do that? Because,
but me personally, do you think that I should feel a sense? Let's say, for example, I was smoking and I know that smoking is very bad for me. Is there a healthy amount of shame for me to experience as an emotional catalyst to actually stop the negative behavior?
Sure, but like, I don't need to walk up to you and be like, ew, disgusting. Unless you're doing it in a way that like kind of negatively impacts me. Like if you're smoking outside of fucking school or something, I'd be like, bro, fuck off. You know it's unhealthy. But we have the shame for like cigarettes. The shame, it comes into play of like, hey, like you know, look at the thing. What is it called? The what's the word that I'm looking for? The surgeon's warning, right? That's enough of a shameful thing. And it's good that there's shame for that, of course. But like, I don't think you need to go around like screaming at fucking people who are smoking cigarettes, right? Like, that's what it comes down to. Yeah.
For sure. And smoking, I would say, is a bit
first
different.
time, love your show, bro.
Hey,
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Saved your life. Well, I appreciate that, brother. I'm happy I was able to do that. I don't know. Thank you so much. I'm happy that you put that much into my content to feel that way. I really do. I appreciate that.
Often genetic.
Yeah, a bit of self-shame is good, but like it's a good thing to feel like a little frustrated, but you don't want to have too much shame because then you're not going to make progress. You need to have like enough, and I don't even know if I'd call it shame, but like if you say call it shame, so that you're like motivated, be like, yes, I need to do better. You know, wake up in the morning and you know, look at your body and go like, you know what, I want to be more attractive. I want to go and I want to do this. I want to go and I want to do that. Okay, good. If you hate yourself too much, you wake up and go, oh, disgusting. I'll never be able to change. I might as well not even try. It's like balancing that. How do you get to that sweet spot? You know what I mean? That's what it really comes down to.
Determined. I was born in a thinner body. I was in an underweight body while I was ill, a very underweight body. But often we can't change in a second the way we look. And really, I just want little girls to go and grow up and not feel like they have to change the size of their thighs, or that because they're in a bigger body, they're less worthy than thinner girls growing up alongside them. That's what I want to leave with, because
That's a wholesome message.
thank you. I want our culture to change.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for listening to me. I appreciate where you're coming from. But I hope our culture can change, and that the people watching this know that you're worthy too, regardless of what stage of your journey you're in.
That's so warm and fluffy to finish on. Thank you.
When I see a
So I like that. I like that that was the first one. I respected him for putting that in there. We're obviously going to get a fucking insane woman next. We already saw the intro to it, but I respect the guy a lot that he put this in. That he put it in really first, I would say, because it doesn't show like a priming of like, let's have a negative impact. It's a really nice constructive conversation about obesity, the way that society should treat it. It was respectful. He gave her time to talk. There was no dunking. Now, of course, we're going to get an insane woman, but hey, it's for the content. It's going to be funny. But I respect the hell out of that. I have to say, I really respect this guy for that. So let's go.
woman wearing leggings and she's got layer upon layer upon layer, like stomach and don't wear it.
Where we can start and perhaps find common ground.
I kind of agree. Dress your size, guys and gals. Dress your size, okay? It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to dress your size in general. I believe in that. You don't have to, but I'm just saying. I think it's a good idea.
I've been wanting to just start with this as a basis, right? So
No,
this
I can't look at that. Sorry.
So-
I can't.
She's so
I
disgusted.
have two questions for you.
Yeah.
One is, would you ever consider that healthy?
No.
Okay. Second,
So here's the thing. I know women hold weight a little bit differently than men. I don't know if that person could be healthy. I guess I have to talk to their doctor. Maybe it could be. I don't know. If it is, here's the biggest thing. If that's healthy, and I don't know that it is, but just hear me out on this, even if you disagree with me. If that is healthy, then my biggest issue is that you know for a fact that woman isn't telling you how it is healthy. Because in order for that to be healthy, to be that overweight, what you would have to do is you would have to go through a significant amount of exercise and eat really well and just happen to be overeating food that you... food that's really good for you, but just overeating really healthy foods. And so even if it is healthy, the big problem I would have with that is that they're not being like, hey, I am really fat and I'm really healthy, but I need you to understand something. I put in a significant amount of work every day just so that I can be healthy as an overweight person, right? When you look at a strong man, somebody who's like 400 pounds, like a big fucking guy, these guys are generally pretty healthy. Sometimes they can be unhealthy, but they're like, you know that they're working hard. So you're like, okay, if I want to be like this guy, what the fuck is this game playing ball? This game is so cringe right now. You know that person puts in a significant amount of work to like end up being healthy. Whereas for the other people, I don't know if it gives them the right message.
would you ever consider that beautiful?
No.
Okay, and why not?
Because that's...
Well, let me see. I'm gonna read this message.
Mr. Johnny's 180SX super chatted $4.99. You save my life, bro.
Hey, well, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. I do. I appreciate that, my man. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with this boss.
I'm with you. I agree
Yeah,
with you. Okay, I think we find common
no.
ground. So what I'm curious about, or I guess also concerned about, is
How much fat is on that girl?
too much.
It's way too much fat. First of all, it doesn't look good because we're not stimulated.
I will say she looks pretty good for her size. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. She holds her weight pretty well. You know, but I'll just say it.
for that to look good. Elle Macpherson, if she looked like that, would you follow her? No.
I don't know who Elle Macpherson is, but
I probably would jerk off to that girl. I'm just saying, bro. I don't give a fuck.
You don't know who Elle... Oh my God.
I promise you, I'll have a look
Okay.
after the interview.
On a personal level, I like the bigger girl more, but that's just me personally. And you know, the only reason and let's be real, the reason I'm into bigger girls is because I am a bigger girl, right? If I grew up thinner, I probably wouldn't be into big people. But I don't know, I just find it a little more attractive. That's personal. That's just me.
Sophia Loren.
Yeah, I find the bigger girl more attractive, just personally.
What about Bella Hadid? If
Yeah, I'm not even-
Bella Hadid. You don't know who Bella Hadid is. You should be ashamed of
Okay,
yourself.
Bro, this girl is like jerking off the porn. What the fuck? I would almost say that this is like a reason why we need body positivity. This old woman is all over like every young fucking attractive woman that she sees, and like if she's fucking like really eating. That seems a little obsessive to me that she's so educated on like every. I don't know. I guess they're fucking actors or whatever, but
I'll have a look after the
Oh
interview.
my freaking
Gorgeous.
God. She's hot, man. She's a hot model. She's a young girl.
So, okay, so
Do you know
why?
who The Weeknd is?
Yes.
imagine a dude said that. Oh, it's a hot. Oh, it's a really hot model. She's a young girl. I'm fucking crazy, dude. Holy shit.
Gigi Hadid. His ex-girlfriend.
Right. Okay. No, I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm curious as to, do you think it's important that young girls be told there is such a thing as, well, it seems to be there's kind of a shared sense of what beauty is.
Yeah, of course there is. That's age
No,
old.
I don't.
And, okay, so I'm curious as to why
No.
are young people in particular.
No, that's not a good thing to tell any young girl or boy that there's okay. Okay, the problem with what he just said, listen to what he just said again.
Be told. Do you think it's important that?
Okay.
But I'm curious as to, do you think it's important that young girls be told there is such a thing as, well, it seems to be there's kind of a shared sense of what beauty is.
No.
Of course there is. That's age.
No, so you shouldn't, right? This is one of the problems. If I said to you, should we tell young people in general that it's not that they should engage in healthy habits, right? Eating better, not getting addicted to shitty foods, exercise, exercise diet. That's a great message to tell kids. To say to a kid there's a particular beauty standard that you should adhere to is toxic because it's just going to have them like obsessively focus on looking at what society would consider as good as possible. And when they can't achieve it, because very few people can, because not everybody has as nice of a face as I do. All jokes aside, when they can't achieve it, they're going to have a significant mental health problem. The messaging is bad. I respect this guy, but the messaging is just it's not good. It's not good. Okay, that's an ignorant way to display that message.
That's age old.
And okay, so I'm curious as to why are young people in particular, and maybe it's also older people, being told that that's not true. That beauty is just a social construct, and that you can be beautiful.
Well, beauty is a social construct. I don't know why you're contesting that. Like, it's just like, obviously. Okay, it's okay. This is a weird interview. Okay.
Bullshit. We've been trained like that. It's been a century-old thing. It's the same. Beauty is beauty, okay? If you're too skinny, it's not beautiful because you're bony and you're skeletal. Too skinny is ugly. It's not good to look at. It doesn't stimulate the mind. It doesn't stimulate the thing. So.
And I think so many people are willing to say
they're focused too much on societal beauty standards. That's the problem. It's not healthy. Like, it's good to focus on health, but they're so obsessed with the societal beauty standards that I think it's fucking toxic and obsessive, bro. It's crazy.
But it's the
for
truth.
the skinniness.
No.
But they're not willing to say it.
No, and I can't do fat people because it's unhealthy. It doesn't look good. It looks shit.
I agree. Okay, so
seriously, I mean, do you want a fat person waddling? They can't walk because their thighs are so big. Seriously, it's not healthy and it doesn't look good. There's two things. Maybe I'm politically incorrect. I don't give a shit. I'm a 1966 kid.
What the unfortunate thing is though is that this woman, and then I know this is gonna come off as mean, but it's the truth. This is the kind of woman who raises kids with mental, like with significant body image issues of themselves. Like, it's this truth. Like, this isn't something that's gonna be helpful if she has a daughter. Just be like, wow, you look real fucking ugly today. You're way too fucking skinny. You're way too fucking fat. Holy shit. Oh, you're disgusting. It's not. I'm just gonna be hot take. Be real with you. I think that maybe she's. May not be the best, maybe a little rough. Could be a little bit rough. Just saying.
I love that about you. So, what would you say is body positivity done right? Right. Let's say to your boys, or let's say you had a young girl. What messaging are you giving them when you are being?
A fucking fat girl walks by, right?
Let's say to your boys, or let's say you had a young girl. What messaging?
I'm sorry. This is unfortunate.
Are you giving them when you are being body positive with them?
Eat healthy, okay? Not too much
How
sugar.
dare you?
Yeah, eat healthy.
Eat healthy.
Not too much sugar. Everything in moderation, apart from sex. Everything else, your alcohol.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Your alcohol, your drugs. Some people like to do drugs, and I'm not going to judge that.
Why? Wait, why are you going to judge somebody for being fat, but you won't judge somebody for doing drugs? I'm not understanding. How does that happen? I'm confused.
Intake of sugar, your intake of carbohydrates, all that. If you live a healthy lifestyle, your body works properly, your mind works properly, and you can think. People that are overweight have a problem with the way they look. Okay, so they're depressed. Yeah.
Well, some of them. This is my.
Some of the depression comes from being bullied, right? Some of the depression. So this is the thing. Being overweight. Some of the depression comes from just being bullied and people being like, "Oh, you're disgusting." Yuck, 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 right? But some of it does actually come from like your body. Like, you know, you eat unhealthily. Like, let's say you have high blood pressure. You have like a lot of salt and shit in your blood. Well, not like that. You know what I mean? You have high blood pressure. That's going to make you just physically feel worse, less motivated. I would say anxious. That's my experience with like eating like very high salt foods, is feeling very anxious. I think I fucked something up here, brothers. You know. Wow. Okay. But you get my point.
Concerned as well. Some of them are being told, no, if you feel depressed about your overweightness, it's not the overweightness. It's society telling you.
It's bullshit.
It's both. You guys are dumb. Sorry, but like it's kind of the reality here. You need to, you know, why do they keep this going?
And you know what? If they want to live like that, that's fine. Because then when they start getting sick and diabetes and all these other ailments, it's about health.
Okay, so let's say that this person, they start getting the coronary heart disease as a consequence of being overweight, making poor decisions.
Yeah.
They go into the public healthcare system. You're footing the bill as a taxpayer. Are you cool with that? Do you think that it should be covered?
Yes. Why not? It's about health. No. When it comes to health, it's not their fault. Like, people gain weight or lose weight, not only for health reasons but psychological reasons, and we don't understand the mental side of that. So
well, wow, this woman became like super based, like instantaneously. She went from shitting on people to be like, yeah, no, it's not your fault if you're fat. Like, I understand that you go through a significant issue and I'm down for paying for your healthcare. Actually, fucking, I got to give her credit for that one. Base as fuck, am I right, guys?
It's mental health. Exactly. When you're feeling happy and when you're mentally happy, you don't need to lose weight or gain weight. Does that make sense? I mean, there's more in depth of that, but basically that's what it is. When you're feeling happy and content within yourself, you don't overdo alcohol, drugs.
I see what you mean. Yes,
you know what I mean?
It's so interesting though that she acknowledges that while it's simultaneously saying that we kind of have to like socially shame people for being fat. Because like, yeah, I agree, man. Like a lot of people like cope eat and shit. I get that. I'm totally down with that. But it's interesting. She's an interesting woman. Interesting woman.
So I mean, I think there's a strong case to be made that someone who is severely...
It's weird. It's like almost worse. It's almost worse when you get like when you hear like a ton of fat phobia from people who are super fucking like educated on it. You know what I mean? That's like they'll turn around, they'll like make some like really nasty remarks, but then they'll be like, yeah, but I understand that there are food deserts and we have incredibly unhealthy, addicting food that's going like circulating around. And it's like, well, what the fuck? Like how? Why? Where did what? But you're disrespecting fat people, but you understand the conditions that can be created that make it difficult to lose weight or cope eat. Like, yeah, I understand. I'm just a real piece of shit. It's like, what the fuck? It's weird.
Like for example, when we see someone with anorexia, we will say there's a mental issue going on here.
Absolutely.
Why? My sense is the exact same for overconsumption of calories. The same way it is.
No, it's not. Again, like there's this really big problem with the way that he talks, right? There's a scale. There's too skinny, normal weight, fat, and too fat. When it comes to somebody with anorexia, you're talking about somebody who's so dangerously skinny that they're dying. You guys compare it to somebody that is so dangerously overweight that they're dying. And like but somebody who's like a bit overweight, that doesn't meet the same classification. It's still, I would say, there's a mental health issue, probably a different one. Like you're coping with food instead of, I guess, like I don't know the exact motivation to be so overweight. But it's not the exact same. He keeps doing that. He keeps conflating like just being fat with like morbidly obese. So he'll be like, yeah, do we think that people with anorexia are the same, are just the opposite of just a kind of fat person? It's like, no, man, these are drastically different people. So
it's underconsumption or starving.
It's the one extreme to the other. Yep, they feed.
So I'm curious, when you let's say for example that there was another parent, I want you to be really honest with me.
I will be.
Let's say I'm a parent.
Greek. That's what we do.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Let's say that I'm a parent and
animal.
I might be taking care of my body in the way that I want, and I might be morbidly obese, but you might say, hey, let's say for example, I say it's my body, it's my choice, I do what I want with it. You can have your opinion, but it's mine. What about I have a kid, and I'm giving my kid unrestricted access to sugar, highly processed foods. The kid's clearly becoming overweight. I actually had a friend.
You're killing your kid.
So I had a friend who was babysitting these kids.
So for sure, man, you're not helping your kid. So first of all, there's two aspects to this. I think the biggest problem is that there is such a lack of education on food, that a lot of parents will feed their kids poor, like bad diets and bad food because they don't really understand. And so in this idea of like, no, I don't think there's any parent who's maliciously feeding their kid like they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill this little fucker. You know what I mean? They would have just got an abortion. So I think that this comes down to the conversation about the systemic aspect of it. It's like, okay, well, how do we remedy that? How do we deal with that issue? You know, you educate kids in school, get kids like some school education about, you know, being like properly weighted, and you know, gym class should be very much about long-term habits rather than just kind of doing a thing in school. Because I feel like gym isn't really a they don't really teach you overall healthy eating habits in gyms. You know, maybe teach those more in a gym, maybe force home economics, maybe don't dispel this thing I have on me because you're a fucking moron. You know, there's a lot of different things you could do.
And I think there were maybe 5 and 6, and to the point where they're struggling to breathe because they're so fat, and the kid thought he was something wrong with him. That's just how he was.
No, that's
right. He didn't realize that there was something to do with his food.
The parent should be accountable for that.
So how so? What do you think should happen in
What
that?
do you mean,
in that
how
instance?
so? Do you teach your kid to go to school, to get an education?
Yes.
Do you take your kid to school every day?
Yes.
Okay, why?
I think you should.
Why?
In order to educate.
Okay, so why don't you educate them about how?
You want to kind of empower your kid
Absolutely.
to become the best version of
Absolutely.
themselves.
If you want to be a fat and you want to, oh, I shouldn't say that.
It's all right. It's all right.
But yeah, you're instilling your values on your kid, on an innocent child that doesn't know any better. Shouldn't you educate him that, hey, too much sugar isn't good for you, it will rot your teeth? It will, you know, you'll be obese? No.
And also, I mean, when you grow up, you won't have perhaps developed the self-discipline.
Okay, you're really young, but when we were young, because I'm 1966, right? So when we were young, we used to play outside. We used to do a lot of physical activity, and food we didn't consume food like we do now. Like, I think we consume too much food. We don't need to consume so much food. Food's there to fuel us, to fuel our body, not to so we can say that, oh, we went fine dining and we went to blah 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 and we're eating all this food.
Well, I will say, like, I think fine dining is okay. I don't think that's the biggest issue. I think that it's a lot of physical stuff. You know, I notice when I'm exercising more, you know, I tend to like not necessarily want to eat as much. It depends. Like sometimes when I'm like weightlifting, I tend to like sometimes maybe overconsume a little bit just to, you know. But yeah, it's like a euphoria to that. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but there's like a euphoria to like exercising that'll like demotivate, like not necessarily make you want to eat so much. It's bizarre. I don't even know how to articulate it, so I can't really speak too much on it. But it's something that I personally have noticed on myself.
Because we can afford it. It's not there for a luxury. It's there to nourish our bodies. But we should do more physical activity, more mental activity. So that's what we're not doing anymore.
So let's say that we're back in that situation where I'm really not setting my kid up for any kind of success. I'm essentially allowing the kid to slowly kill themselves via obesity.
Well, that just goes to show that you're really uneducated.
And what do you think should happen in that instance? Like, is it?
Again, it's like a school system thing. If we're entering the conversation about like what should we do to parents of overweight kids that like are super unhealthy, like do we call CPS? I don't know. I mean, I haven't thought about it. I can't give you like a pretty big answer on that. It's certainly a conversation to have about the potentials of considering it child abuse if your kid is like super duper overweight. And I'm open to the conversation. It's just such a new concept but it's interesting. I don't know at what point you would be able to do that, but maybe.
Is it the role of the government to step in and say, hey, we actually need to take care of this kid, or is it your role to educate the parents?
It's the parent, and I think a good support system. If we educate one another, if we're out there saying, hey, these foods aren't good for a young child to stimulate their brain, their focus.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think a lot of, and this is something that I didn't even really know until like recently, and it might sound weird, but like food, having the right food, not just enough food, but having the right food, it drastically helps a child's mental development. I didn't know that. Now maybe I'm just a fucking moron, but I feel like there's more people that don't know that than not. I feel like there's like plenty of people that are like, yeah, I didn't know that. So I feel like there's a conversation there, you know. That's like societal education, like teaching people like, yeah, you know, like if you eat, you know, poorly, blah 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 blah. Where's this guy going?
Body. I think as a society, it takes a village.
So this is where then again my concern comes back to the messaging that young boys and young girls are being given on social media.
Cut the filters on social media, and then you'll see. It'll make a big difference.
What do you think about? So there's a tram that's been going past for a big major label brand. It's not Nike. It's another one.
Okay.
Right, and it's an obese. Let's call a spade. An obese model. I use that word lightly. On the tram.
So we're making it normal now to be obese.
Well, it looked like that was a person who was fat and it was exercising. So I think that like, listen, it looks, unless surface level, that looks like they're trying to get fat people to buy sports clothing. Now they don't care; they're just a company that wants money. But to me, that indicates like, whoa, what happens if a fat person buys something associated with sport? I mean, would that increase the chance that they would do more sports stuff, right? Like, I don't really have an issue with that. I don't care. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's toxic or harmful. So
it's an obese. Let's call a spade. An obese model. I use that word lightly. On the tram.
So we're making it normal now to be obese. Is that what we're trying to do? We're stimulating normality to being obese?
Is that what you think?
That's shameful. That's shameful. Because it's not normal to be obese.
Oh, this guy's not.
It's also, yeah, I think we found a lot of common ground in the sense that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If you can get fat people to buy sports stuff, it might make them more likely to do sports. I would love it if this healer wasn't a fucking moron. But apparently he doesn't know how to use abilities.
It's not healthy to tell young people.
No, it's not okay to be fat. Fat is a dirty word. Don't be fat. Be healthy. Look, if you're a little bit overweight, okay, that's fine. But being fat and obese, that's not healthy. Why the hell would we want to normalize something?
It's so funny because like everybody knows that. Like we already know that. It's not something. It's not like a hot take. It's interesting that some people think that like really fat people like somehow don't realize that they're fat. Like it's a weird thing that I've noticed from stuff. They're like, it's not healthy. Like, are you telling me? Like I don't go to the doctor, right? There's clearly people who are really fat. They feel it. And to a point where it like hurts their bodies, right? When you're younger, it could take a little longer for you to do it. So I get that, right? Like you can be younger and have unhealthy eating habits and won't like beat your body up yet, and you have a little time. But 25, man, you start going downhill fast, just so you know. But like you guys act like it's like not like it's like you're a fucking scientist that just discovered obesity is bad. Like the problem is clearly, despite knowing it's bad, people are doing it, and it's not because of body positivity isn't making people go like this is great. It's just an underlying health issue or mental health issue where people are just like, well, who cares? That's really what it comes down to, and that's the unfortunate part. And people need to change that perspective, and acceptance and whatnot is the way to do that.
Something that's not good for you. Then stimulate. Do you remember with all the models that were like anorexic, Kate Moss and all that? They look anorexic and they look like a heroine, whatever. Everyone came down on that. Yeah. So why are we going the opposite?
Everybody came down on that eventually. It wasn't instantaneous. It was a societal shift eventually because it was promoting really unhealthy habits for women. Right? It was saying like this is okay. Well, I get, or saying this is what the ideal beauty pattern should be. I guess you could make a similar argument with fat stuff, except nobody's looking. I guess you could make a similar argument with that. There could be some negatives of normalizing that. But overall, I think it's really just more about representation and just showing more bodies. Like this is the thing is like. For the most part, I mean, that woman was very large, but for the most part, it's just about showing representation for like other people. Like when you see fatter people, usually there's also like not so fat people models still. It's just about having a wide array, whereas we used to only have skinny models.
It's like a pendulum has to swing full way. Let's go really obese and fat and ugly and blubber, and then go back to normal.
Yeah, why? I agree. We have to be back here. We have to be back here in the middle.
I can't do that. Sorry, I can't. No. I can't do fat people.
Body positivity, is it healthy or has it become...
Hey, they got those overweight people from before that I pointed out. You like that?
Unhealthy excuse without acceptance.
Right. Okay.
What do the two of you believe and why?
Well, I believe it's very healthy because not only can it be healthy physically, but I think it also can be healthy mentally and also socially. Say if I had a kid.
The three are all intertwined.
Absolutely. So say I have a child that I want to grow. If I grow up my child with a mentality of as long as you are healthy, as long as you are safe, as long as you are happy, that will project onto other people who will also find safety, healthy, and happiness within themselves.
Yeah, no, she's right. That's a good point. She started a little weak, but she got a little strong there. Like, yes, she's right about that. You want to advocate for healthiness over like a weight standard so that your kid focuses on being healthy rather than just being skinny, because that's what creates eating disorder. So she's right about that.
Because I find a lot of the time body positivity, especially body negativity, is projected onto other people when they feel that in themselves.
Okay, so I'd love to get, right after Jay, I'll come to you now, but then let's unpack in a moment what we mean by body positivity. So if you were to just give like a 1 minute response, which one do you think it is, what would you say?
I think it's healthy because I think that there are a lot of people that
So they're saying the body positivity is healthy, not that it's healthy to be fat, just to be clear. They're not saying I think it's really healthy to be fat.
Control what size they are or how they look in that sort of general sense. And so I think to just completely blanket statement it as it's fat acceptance, I don't think is the right way to go about it, because I think a lot of people need that body positivity and need that confidence in themselves because they can't change it. It's not something that they're doing wrong. It's not something that they're doing and going, like, this is a bad thing, this is something I want to change. They want to change it if they feel unhealthy. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think where we're going to find a lot of common ground already, I can tell from the jump. For things that people can't change, I think that, like, let's say, for example, I was born with this, I think it's on this side of my face, like this little, like, my mum used to call it a beauty spot. And you know, I might have had some issues with that as a kid, but I have come to terms with that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
And, you know, different people have different immutable characteristics, and I think it's good that we learn to feel positive about those things because you can't change it, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I heard once, I don't know where I heard it, but I heard someone say, if you tell someone something that they can't change in 5 minutes, don't tell them.
Oh, someone said that earlier today.
Yeah. It's so true.
Oh, it's an interesting thing. If you, that's interesting. I like that. I enjoy that. If you can't tell somebody something that they can't change in 5 minutes, then don't tell them that. On an individual level, I think that's great. Like, you don't need to be coaching people for being fat and whatnot. On an individual level, that's a cool. I like that. I like that one. I never heard that before. It's just very simple, but I like that.
True though. Like, there's no point commenting on someone's fact about themselves if they can't immediately change it. It's just unnecessary and almost rude in a way.
But for I think this might be where we divert. I don't know, but for something like weight, my sense is you can definitely change your weight. You can change your lifestyle. You can change your eating habits, your exercise habits.
Not necessarily. I only say that because I'm someone who I work out 5 days a week and I eat very healthily, and yet I'm still not what people would consider to be a healthy body type. But
I mean, listen, that might be true. She might be eat really well and work out a lot. I also, in my experience, when I see somebody that's pretty big saying that, it's, no offense, sometimes it's a little bit of a cope. I'm not trying to be rude. I really am not. Yeah, but okay, sure. But okay, yeah, sure. Let's just keep
I can't control that because this is just the body that I was given. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
even
so
with the healthy lifestyle I lead.
Have you ever tracked your macronutrients?
Yes, I have. It actually led to my eating disorder. So
Interesting. If you don't
yeah.
mind me asking, what was your?
Yeah, obviously, she's obviously, if that is true that she's dieting and exercising and all that, or exercising, she's obviously not like watching what she's eating necessarily. You know, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but
cheating. So yeah, so it was really difficult actually because, and that's why I'm such a strong advocate for body positivity, because it was, you know, the media and seeing how, you know, you need to look a certain way to be healthy, and it led me to start binge eating, which is basically where you starve yourself and you don't eat, and then you get to a point where you obviously can't starve yourself anymore because you can't live like that.
Yeah,
and then you overeat and you purge. Yeah. And
yeah,
so,
that's a good point. Like some people, like that makes sense. People just don't eat at all, and they just start like binge eating. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Coming out of that,
just to kind of share here, my sister's actually an emotional and binge eating coach.
Wow, yeah.
And she's been through a lot. She's been through her own journey of underweight, then overweight, then
looks like a interesting plug.
To a more healthy balance. So I'm definitely familiar with how. I mean, even myself in going on certain diets, if I cut or I calorie restrict too much, try exercise too much, it's very easy to just pop back the other way.
Yeah.
But I would still say that there is, you can find a good range of calorie deficit and exercise in order to lose weight. So can we find common ground on that? Or
yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I just think there's...
For really fat people, they're probably not going to start tracking calories. Your best bet is to try to like eat, like start with like eating like fucking vegetable, like 10 is for every meal, or fibrous vegetables, so that you your body gets fuller faster. You know what I mean? It's easier to do like food choices sometimes than like calories necessarily. Yeah, but it's good. Yeah, definitely track calories. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
I think
do you think that's possible for you?
I think I don't think that I could get smaller than what I am. Maybe a little bit, yes, but as like
listen, I'm not trying to be rude, but good if you wanted to. It's okay. You don't have to. I think that you're engaging in a little bit of cope. I think that like right here, unfortunately, we're seeing a little bit of like you know, if she said hey, I'm feeling healthy, I'm all good. I don't need to lose weight. Like, I go to the doctor regularly. I'm fine. That's fine. But I'm thinking maybe you could probably lose a little bit of weight. That's okay. It's a little weird that she's not just saying that, but okay.
Like
why is that?
Well, I've been working out and doing all the things you're supposed to do and like all that for about 5 years now, and this is just the weight I've ended up at. So. And I also feel healthy and feel fit and like I'm happy in who I am right now, and so
that's good. It's good that she's happy. It's just the cope is a little copulous. You know, it's a little bit too cope for me.
came to the acceptance of that I am happy where I'm at. I'm not unhealthy. I'm not living an unhealthy lifestyle, and I'm doing all the right things, and so I'm okay with where I'm at. You know?
Do you think it's would we be able to say that you're perhaps unhealthier than what you would be if you were like, do you have an ideal weight that if you could just snap your fingers you would?
No, I really don't. I have an ideal way of how I want to look and how I want to feel, but weight doesn't actually matter to me.
Okay.
Like, I think that it's so various on your body type, how tall you are, how short you are, and what culture you're living in. And so I just think putting all your effort into, I want to get to this number, is just ineffective and unhealthy.
Yeah, and look, I can also empathise with that. Like, in going through my own kind of fitness journey, and like there have definitely been times where I've been more overweight and more underweight as well, and you don't want to become obsessive about the scales as well, because it's not all about weight. It is, you know, it's worth being more nuanced in terms of, okay, what's my actual goal? Is it a certain body fat percentage? Is it a certain amount of muscle mass? Is it more of a lifestyle goal or not? Thank you for being kind of very forthright with your own experience as well. So,
I can appreciate the fact that he's not like calling her shit on this, because, you know, like, instead I think oh, come on, man, she's being a little sussy with what she's saying. Like, it's fine that she loves herself, that's great, but like, I mean, you haven't been working out in an effective manner very clearly for any period of time. You know what I mean? And it's okay. I'm just saying it's nice that he's not calling her out on that, and he's not being like divisive and antagonistic and trying to like go after. He's just trying to have a conversation, you know? So
it kind of just brings it back to the whole point of like what we said earlier, that I think it's just being healthy, being happy, and being safe. And as long as you're in those parameters, I don't think it really matters like what number, weight you are, what like lifestyle you're living, as long as you're happy and healthy and safe.
Okay, so I want to push back a little bit on that, and we'll see where we kind of butt heads and see if we can find some common ground in that middle area. For like, I guess my concern in particular is for young people, but I guess also just the general population. I think it's worth us saying, hey, there is a certain healthy weight range or body fat percentage range, and then there is an unhealthy body fat percentage range, and we should do our best to stay away from the unhealthy body fat percentage range, whether it's too little or too large, and find that healthy balance in the middle. Would we find common ground there?
Absolutely. I mean, that's obviously undeniable. But I think once you kind of get into, obviously you have way too big and then you have way too little. But when you start going like in between what you consider too big and what someone else considers too little, the closer you get to sort of that range, what is healthy, that does depend on the person. Yeah. And that depends on genetics. That depends on how you grew up, that depends on your mental health.
There's also doctors who will say, for example, there's a certain body fat percentage that's unhealthy.
Of course, so, but that also can depend on your genetics and who you are as a person.
And it depends on where you live as well. Like, there are so many different studies and all different doctors say a lot of different things. And yes, there is a common denominator in a lot of them, which is, I think, the thing. You need to stay within those parameters, yes, but not make them too small and unattainable.
Okay, yeah, okay. And I think another place where we would find common ground is I don't think, in terms of like those parameters, you don't need to look like Brad Pitt to feel good about yourself. Exactly. You also don't need to look like Angelina Jolie to feel good about yourself.
Exactly.
Especially since she cut her boobies off, bro. I mean, you don't want to look like that. No, all right, that's too much. That's rude. Because she, you know, she did a difficult thing. So I feel bad about that joke. That was a little too rude. She got a double, what's it called, mastectomy, because I think her parents, or she had breast cancer in her family, so she just kind of wanted to do her thing. So I can understand that. But
now, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on someone like Tess Holliday.
Yes.
Are you familiar with Tess Holliday?
Yeah.
So on the front of Cosmopolitan, I would consider her obese.
Yeah.
Would the two of you also consider her obese?
I think
and would you say that she's unhealthy?
Medically, I would say she's obese, but I couldn't say she's unhealthy because I don't know how she lives her life. I
mean, like, yeah, she might be healthy. She really might be, honestly. But again, if she is, I think that there needs to be a better communication from her that like she's pretty healthy, for young people who might want to be, you know, for young people to get like a good example of it. Because I don't know. I feel like it would be good for that. But hey, who fucking knows, bro? Who knows?
Don't know what she eats. I don't know what she does with her day.
Isn't her body the resume of what she eats and what she does with her day?
Not necessarily.
Tell me more. What am I missing?
Well, again, there's a lot of genetic factors. I mean,
and also medical factors too.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like PCOS and a lot of medical diseases and problems that contribute to people being bigger set.
Let's say that she wasn't one of those extreme outliers that does have some kind of severe medical illness that causes her obesity, and that it was a consequence of her lifestyle choices. Do you think she's a good role model for young people?
I don't think I know enough about her to make an assessment.
Well,
on
let's
that.
say-
So this is the problem with what we have here. It's like, do I think she's a good role model? The answer that he's going to say is no, because she's fat. But just because she's fat doesn't mean that she can't be a good role model. Now, I understand that she's a physical person, right? Like, fat people can be good, fine role models. You could have, like, a really good fat person and cool guy, handsome dude. They pop good. But I'm not, you know, popular. I'm not saying I am, but I'm not popular because I'm fat, right? Well, maybe I am, but it's not. I'm not an advocate for body positivity. Anyway, you could say, like, well, she teaches young people to think that it's okay to be fat. Or you could say, well, this is a person who's very proud of themselves and like very confident in their body, right? And you look at it like that, you're like, oh, that is a good thing. Being confident in yourself is a very good thing. It's something that you should teach people because it'll make them have better outcomes in life. Do I think that she's a bad role model? No, not necessarily. I think that I don't know her specifically, but I think that if she advocates, just says like, hey guys, I'm overweight, but I eat really well, that could be maybe good. But it depends on the message that you're getting out of there. For some people, it's going to be like, oh, she's just promoting fatness. Other people, it's going to be like, oh, she's showing the world that she's like confident, and that's something that you can respect about that. Fundamentally speaking, confident is something very respectful about that. You know.
Say, in regards to her body and the way that she treats it, assuming that it is a consequence of her lifestyle choices, is she a good role model?
Well, there's a lot of factors into that. I don't know her diet. I don't know her exercise routine.
Wouldn't you say that you know it just by looking at her? Why?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Because I don't
No,
know
not
her.
necessarily.
I don't know her, and I can't say what your
I
exercise
mean, you have a good guess, right? I understand that, but not necessarily. You know what I mean?
routine is. You can't say what my exercise
But
routine is.
you can look at me and say he looks like he eats a healthy amount
I can't though.
and he takes care of himself. I think that's where we'll disagree.
Yeah.
Because I think I can look at people and say this person is overweight and does not take care of themselves.
I don't think you should though,
Why not?
because that's unfair. You don't know that person.
And I also know a lot of people that look very fit that are very unhealthy.
Absolutely.
And that's just purely because they've got good genetics, they've got good metabolisms, they can eat Maccas every day, they can not work out.
Well, then they wouldn't be unhealthy. What are you talking about? Maybe they eat poorly, but they're not unhealthy then. They're fucking fit and all this other stuff. What are you talking about? Okay, whatever.
They still look good.
I
And
don't know, I don't think
it's
so.
annoying, yes, because I would love to be able to do that. But it's like that. I think that's where the body positivity comes in as a positive thing. That it's like it's the acceptance of this is what you were given, and it's okay to be okay with that.
Okay, yes.
You know what
okay,
I mean?
this, and I was just going to say, let's get clear on so far what have we found common ground on and what have we not found common ground on. I think what we have found common ground on is those immutable things. For body positivity for me, and what I think is really productive is saying to people, what you cannot change, you have to learn to love. Because otherwise you're going to hate it for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's not productive. And so I was talking with a gentleman before about if you're a short dude, don't hate yourself for being a short dude for your entire life, right? Like you've got to embrace that. But I think where we might diverge is I very much see weight as a consequence of your life.
What do I think about online outrage for celebrities losing weight, like Rebel Wilson? Was there any real outrage at that? That's obviously stupid. Like, she's doing her thing to be happy with herself, so who cares? You know what I mean? People obviously shouldn't be talking about that. That's the thing, is that that's the thing, is like it goes both ways. Like, you shouldn't be commenting on other people's bodies, even if they're like, just because somebody's skinny doesn't give you license to be able to comment on somebody's body. People who try to tear down skinny people as fat people, that's an example of trying to hurt skinny people rather than to build up fat people, right? So I talk about stuff like that all the time.
Lifestyle choices. So I do think that you have a great deal of responsibility when it comes to taking care of your body, and namely ensuring a caloric, eating the appropriate amount of calories, and if you are overweight, restricting your calories, as well as ensuring that you do enough exercise in order to maintain a healthy body weight. But I get the sense that that might be where we diverge. Am I right there? Yeah, okay. So I want to dig a little deeper into that and see why that's the case, right? So when you see, say, a young person, let's say we had a young person here with us, and the young person is gaining weight, and we can clearly say it's because they are consuming more calories in than the calories that are being burnt out, right? If we are being body positive toward this young person, what are we saying to that young person?
I think I would say to them, it's hard, because if I was their
Nothing, because like you're nobody to them. You'd have to be their parent or their doctor to say anything to them. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, you don't say anything to the kid. You know what I mean? But we've already talked about it. Like, yeah, you eat better, blah, blah, blah. Better habits to be generated. But again, it's also a young person. I mean, it depends on how fat they are, really. Why am I up here? Am I fucking a goober boy? I am.
parent, and if I was someone that could kind of talk about what they were eating and know their situation, then I'd be like, hey, so why is this the case? Because I always think there's a reason behind someone eating a lot and not doing a lot with themselves, you know,
100%,
whether that be
100%.
money, like not having enough money to go out and do stuff because that's like a real issue, or like not having enough food that they can eat at home, so then they're eating a lot of food out, or the other way around,
resorting to like cheap,
greasy food,
convenient foods,
and so I think,
which I think is a big kind of almost a systemic problem that we need to
There we go. We finally got there. We're 45 minutes in the conversation. We're 3/4 of the way done. We finally talked about something from a systemic level. Absolutely, brother. That's the major focus. Systemic level shit. You know what I mean? This we have to focus on.
Cost of living, produce, just with the nature of a lot of things, COVID, climate change, crops are deteriorating, which means that the produce that you find in supermarkets are skyrocketing in price and lower in quality. So it is so much easier, especially for people with lower incomes, to go get processed food that they know is going to feed them.
Yeah, fill them up.
And at a much cheaper price, depending on how you go. So that is an issue in itself.
And I think that's again where we'll find common ground. I think there's a conversation to be had around, we have an issue of abundance here, where the highest calorie, most sodium packed, high sugar and processed foods are extremely cheap, right? And so what do we do to kind of manage that? Or, you know, what do we do about that? But I think so.
The best bet, honestly, in my opinion, is probably to try to like tax unhealthy foods and then use that money to invest in healthcare. So it disincentivizes people from eating those unhealthy foods. And then, why is this so difficult to kill? It reduces the incentive to eat those healthy foods, makes you more likely to eat better foods, and then it also helps reinvest that money to people who might, struggle to pay for their healthcare. This is fucking preposterous, bro. What the fuck? This isn't even a marked unit.
It's like another tick, okay? We're good on that side. But yeah, I guess I still think that, now, I feel like we've built enough rapport for me to kind of ask a couple of more difficult questions, and you tell me if I go too far. I don't want to probe too much, but my sense is that if, let's say for example, you went to the doctor and the doctor said that you are clinically overweight and that you should lose weight in order to have better health for you and a decreased risk of something like heart disease, and that the way to do that was, by the laws of thermodynamics, reducing the calorie intake and upping calorie burning, that it would be possible for you to lose weight if you wanted to, or if you had the right support structures. Right?
Yeah, if it was possible for my body to do that, yeah, it would be.
Bro, she's killing me, bro. She's hoping so hard. It is possible for her body to do that.
I think.
And why do you think it's not possible for you?
Because, as I said, I've been doing it for so long now. Like, this is just how my body is built. My genetics.
Could it be that there's something that's not quite right in terms of your diet or your exercise?
It could be 100%. I've tried so many different things, and.
How are you going to say that you've done everything, but then he's like, could it be this? And you're like, yeah, it could be. Well, yeah, it probably is. That's okay. It's just the eternal cope of being like, no, this is how it is. Like, no, come on, man. Just be like, hey, I'm overweight. You know what I mean? But okay, whatever.
And it 100% could be that it's not the right things
bullshit
that I'm doing. But as I said before, like, personally, I'm happy with where I'm at. I feel healthy. I can do all the things I want to do. I compete in karate, like, constantly, and like, you have to have so much stamina for that, and it's so it's like where I'm
maybe
at,
I'm wrong
happy with it, and I don't feel the need to change any more of what I'm doing because I know it works for me.
The regular old Steven Seagal, am I right? She fucking competes in karate? That's crazy, brother. I don't know. I feel like my body feels skeptical of that, but hey, fuck me, right?
With my life and my lifestyle.
And fair enough, yeah, power to you. If you did have that doctor's appointment and the doctor said, hey, I would recommend...
I would say you should probably stop pushing so hard on this.
You're a hero.
Yeah,
power to you. If you did have that doctor's appointment and the doctor said, hey, I would recommend... Cheers, bro.
Oh, he poured water on the guy's like, why? He's just doing his thing. The fuck? Okay.
You're a hero.
You're a fucking hero, that's funny.
If you did have that appointment with your doctor, and he said, like, he recommended to you or she recommended to you to drop the weight, would you just kind of say what you said there, where I can acknowledge that I'm at a greater risk of heart disease, but I actually feel good how I am?
I don't know, because I've never been in that situation.
It's sort of, I think, I think you're kind of underestimating the point of that doctor's appointment. It's not like you woke up magically and you're at the doctor's. If you're going to the doctor's for heart-related reasons and you know
like a general checkup.
General checkup.
And then the doctor brings it up. I mean, what would you do in an instance like that?
If I was in a situation where I was having heart problems and the doctor said you need to lose weight, as I am now, I go, okay, cool. I'd go to a dietitian that the doctor recommended me, given my situation at that moment in time. If I was, say, the fittest, healthiest, strongest I've ever been, regardless of what my weight is, and they said you need to lose weight, well, then I'd ask why.
Right.
Because there are a lot of people.
She's got a decent point. Like, you know, again, if you're younger and you're overweight, you may not feel the negative impacts for a while. So it'd be good to get out of those like poor dietary choices. I think it's always good to like go towards losing weight. But if you go to the doctor and you don't have any health problems and you're vibing and you're feeling good, there's nothing wrong with you and your abilities don't work and this game is fucking broken. And they're like, you should just lose weight. And you're like, well, why? I'm healthy, all my numbers. Yeah, but you know, then it's like okay to be like, you know what? I seem to be doing all right at my weight. You know what I mean? I get that. You know what I mean? Again, it's probably better to try to lose weight, but I get what they're saying. I understand it.
People with like massive muscle index that would technically actually be obese rather. Like The Rock is technically obese, and that's just because it's muscle.
Right, so
like,
I mean, BMIs are very crude.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that we can be more precise with say body fat percentage or something like that. So
oh my god, it wouldn't even hit me, bro.
I think as long as it's coming from, because there's also, it's hard in the medical industry. There's also.
That's where you were going with that. I think it's important where it comes from.
Yes, but
right?
it is. It's important where it comes from because there are a lot of doctors in the medical industry who have been in it for a while that haven't updated their practices.
True.
So sometimes you go to a doctor with an issue.
My sister would preach
and
this,
and they just automatically go, oh, well, maybe you should just lose weight. Like, that'll fix that issue. And it's like, well, no, this is an
actual on the flip side,
issue.
maybe you should just eat more.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's more going on.
Exactly. But if you go to a dietitian and they're like, yeah, this is exactly what you should be eating. We've done all the science behind it and it's an informed medical decision that they're like, no, this is something you need to do. I would 100% do it. I'm like, well, if this is going to better my life, I will do it.
Yeah. Great. Okay, cool. So I want to be respectful of your time. I really appreciate the time that you're taking. So there were two terms that, in kind of like familiarizing myself with this space, doing a bit of research for today and understanding what's going on. There were two terms that I came across that I want to run by you. One was fat phobic. So is there something in particular that you would point to and say that is fat phobic, and then I'll run the other term by you after that? Or I mean, that also presumes that fat phobia is a real thing. Like,
well, it is a real thing. What the fuck am I getting hit by? What the fuck's happening right now? I'm just taking damage for no reason. I'm so confused right now. Okay, cool. I'm so fucking confused. Yeah, I mean, obviously fat phobia exists. I don't really understand the whole like rhetoric around that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's very open ended to be like, what would you consider fat phobia? I don't know. Like fucking pointing at a fat person and going, ew, disgusting. Kind of like a vague question. Why do I have 99%?
Yeah, I definitely think it is, but I think it's more of an individual issue than a global issue.
Absolutely. Like I've always been a bigger person in my nature, and there has been multiple times where I have like, say when I was like, in my teens, I posted a YouTube video with my friends, and I, excuse my language here, I had comments on that YouTube calling me a fat whale. I was doing nothing. No association with my weight.
Yeah, it's fat phobic. There's no reason to.
Sitting around with my friends being 17. I would consider that fat phobic because it was specifically targeted to my weight when I had nothing to do with my weight in that situation.
Sure, yeah, fair enough. Like, this isn't
but I don't necessarily think it's a global.
Absolutely. That was just an individual issue relating to me specifically. That's not.
Say that's rude.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's rude.
But okay. It's kind of along the same lines as like, well, it's not what it is, but like in the sense like homophobia, where it's these people being aggressive and prejudiced against someone because of something that they can't necessarily control.
Okay, but I think I was with you up until that last.
Well, yeah, you can control it. You can control being overweight. It can be just very difficult, but we understand what she's saying, right? Sure.
Last tiny bit that they can't necessarily control, because I think lots of people would say that you can control your weight through lifestyle choices.
But not everyone, which we talked about earlier, and that's the issue.
I think is where we will disagree, but that's okay.
I say the only people that can't really control their weight are people with like a mental health kind of a thing. Outside of that, you can, like if you're eating just, like to cope or something. Like I understand your struggle with food, but you can lose weight. She kind of hurt herself on that one a little bit. Because I feel like that's where it becomes a little toxic, where it's like not everybody can lose weight. No, everybody really can lose weight. Pretty much anybody. If you're having trouble, even with like PCOS or something, you can still lose weight. It might be more difficult. But it gets like into a weird position. It's like this really weird area when we assert that like not everybody can lose weight, and then I think that some people use it as an excuse to not lose weight. Like this girl might be using that as an excuse. You know what I mean?
You don't know their situation. You don't know if they can control it. So you should always go by they can't control it.
Well, okay, but I do believe in
even
physics.
with a thyroid problem, you could still lose weight. Like it's your body. If you eat less, like you're going to lose weight. Like it's not. Oh, I hear. Ew, what the fuck? It's not like an impossibility. So.
Believe that if you drop the calorie intake and you increase the calorie expenditure, that you will lose weight.
That's fair. I believe that, yes, but I don't necessarily think it's that easy. You know what
It's
I
not
mean?
that easy.
And I
Hey,
don't
I'm with you
necessarily-
there. It's not easy. It's not
but
easy.
Like, in the sense of like, yeah, I have friends who have medical disorders, as you said before, that doesn't work for them. If they were going to be on a deficit, it would be an unhealthy deficit for them to lose weight because they just physically cannot. And that's what I mean by you can't just judge anyone. If it's a close friend, 100%
can't judge a
talk to them
book by a
about it, 'cause
cover.
You know what they're eating, you know what they're doing, and that's you being concerned about a friend, and that's
And
fine.
to come back to what you said before around like the place that it comes from is important.
Exactly.
I think that when we are telling, say, a young person to be fat is unhealthy, it's not
Oh, yeah,
coming, it
it's a
doesn't have to come
struggle.
from a
Yeah,
place
you're right.
of fat people are bad,
Yeah.
right? That's not nobody's saying that, but I think it can
Well,
come from
some
a place
people
of
are.
I want the best for
definitely-
you.
Some people
and-
are definitely just saying fat people are bad. Like that is absolutely happening a lot. So let's just keep that in mind there too.
I want to teach you how to be disciplined with your eating and with your exercise so that you can hit that ideal weight where you can prosper. I feel like everyone, at least my sense is that that's a good thing.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think there's a level of we used to live in a world where people as a whole were very prejudiced about people who are overweight and would use things
Still
like
are, but
fat
it's getting
as a
better.
slur. And I think that's where the body positivity and where it's come from with the we're just accepting like fat acceptance, that they're taking it, they're not realizing the backstory of fat being a slur, much in the same vein, but maybe not as extreme as homophobia, like I said before.
definitely not as
I'm
extreme, but
linking it to that
yeah,
because I am a
for
queer
sure.
woman, so that's the knowledge I have
got a
of that.
relationship in
Yeah,
mind.
exactly.
Of course, she's a queer woman, bro. Oh, I can't lose weight. I can't. Cringe, dude. Just kidding.
But so it's got that kind of relationship of if you're coming at it to a stranger, talking to
I'm always apprehensive about like some random person being like, oh, I'm queer. Like only because like I feel like sometimes they're not. They're just saying that as like, oh yeah, I can identify with this issue when they don't necessarily. I kissed my friend at a sleepover once. It's like, oh, I'm queer. You know what I mean? I don't know. Sometimes okay.
them about being fat.
Like I'm kind of gay too, bro. Like you know what I mean? But like I'm not fucking like identifying with the fucking community. It just feels like weird, you know? Feels like stolen valor. Ugh.
It's not always coming across as being a kind thing.
Yes.
It's a lot of the time coming across as linking them to people who are dirty and like that sort of thing when that's not the case.
Yeah, and
You know what
I think that's where, most of the time, it's not the place of a stranger to say, hey, sorry, you got an issue with your eating and you should take care of yourself.
I 100%
But
agree.
I do think that
Wait,
it's
where the fuck is this course supposed
it's
to
our
go?
responsibility with our friends and people that we're close with to have these conversations and say, if, like, for example, if one of my friends, boys, I'm looking at you, if one of these boys started to gain weight unhealthily, I would say to them, hey, bro, what's going on?
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
I know that, I know that you're capable of eating healthily and taking care of your body, and I want that for you.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? Like, do you need support or whatnot? So the other term that I came across was skinny privilege. Is skinny privilege a real thing? And if so, what is it?
I mean, here's the problem when you say that something is privileged. It just comes off as like disrespectful and antagonistic. Right? So do like skinny people have a privilege? Like, sure. Yeah, for sure. Like they things are built around skinny people, which makes sense to do. Does it mean that it's like a bad privilege? No. It's like it makes fucking sense, right? Like it's just a weird way to say stuff. I feel like it's just kind of a weird way to like say stuff. Like, you have skinny privilege. It's like, okay. I just feel like it's just it's weird. It comes off as antagonistic, you know?
I think it's again very individual, and I think some circumstances it can
God.
be. But I think it's more.
What is it? What is
I
skinny privilege?
think it can mostly be related to. Again, we kind of grew up in a world where fat was a slur. We would judge people when we walk in the street based on their weight. I think now it's definitely getting better. But skinny privilege, I find it personally in clothing size. Is that
Clothing accessibility and
Absolutely.
even jewelry. We literally just
Oh
went
my God, we
shopping
just
for
got
jewelry,
jewelry.
and we
No.
never find jewelry that fits our fingers because I just have fat fingers. And so like we were so excited that we found jewelry that actually fits our fingers because that's not easily accessible.
I often have a lot of struggle shopping for clothes. When I do shop for clothes, I have very limited brands that I can shop in person for. The rest I have to shop online, and when I do, it's often fast fashion.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to
Dude, I'm got fucking cocked. I landed on the ground in an accident. You know, it's one thing though about I will say when it comes to like fat people clothing, it does feel like there's like a limited amount, despite the fact that there are a lot of fat people, but the quality seems really cheap. Maybe that's just a general problem. I don't know. What's going on, brother?
support.
What's fast fashion?
Fast fashion is like places like Shein, even I think to a degree Kmart.
Yeah, it's basically clothes that's made fast, quickly, low quality, just to get it out there.
Right.
And they often use
like warehouses in third world countries and
that
aren't
don't
paid
pay very
yeah.
well. I don't want to say slave labour,
But I will say slave labor.
unethical
Oh,
working
true, yeah.
conditions
Yeah.
to keep the prices of the clothes small.
Yeah.
Whereas I know so many local brands that I would just love to shop at, and I'm happy paying the money.
Yeah.
But when you go from a size
Fuck.
women's 8 to a size women's 12, there is no way I will be able to look at those clothes and even see an option that might fit me.
Yeah.
And what? So my sense is, so I guess my understanding of capitalism and free market systems is like, if there's enough demand for these products, more and more companies will go, okay, there's a demand in the market and we can produce a product that fits it.
There we go.
And that
I just wanted to finish the course.
if there are more and more people who are going up and up in size, that those sizes will become more and more common.
Yeah, but Torrid kind of sucks. Torrid's fucking garbage. Like, it used to be good, but Torrid's kind of fucking trash now. I'm just being real with you, brother. Not as good as it used to be.
Right? But that at the moment, if there isn't enough demand, that is to say, if there aren't enough people who are saying, hey, we want to shop from your shop for a size 12, I'm totally unfamiliar with female prices, by the way, that they won't invest in actually building the infrastructure to create that piece of clothing. So that kind of makes sense to me. That kind of makes sense to me. Whereas if I were to say that I had skinny privilege, I can walk into Kmart, Target, whatever, I'll find a size.
Yeah.
You'll find something.
Does that mean you can have like
I'll say Walmart is usually pretty good with
buff
sizes.
gym dude this privilege? Like, I'm just imagining if you got like so big that you walk into the stores.
She's got a good point about that though. With like with your quads can get so big it gets hard to put them in pants. It's true. He's got a good point on that, bro. It's true.
Yeah, 100%. It's the exact same thing. Like, I'll use The Rock again. Like, he's very tall. He's very big. He probably can't shop at a lot of places because he wouldn't
use
fit
The
those
Rock.
clothes.
So he doesn't have
And it's
have skinny privilege.
No, he doesn't. No.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time.
thank you.
I really appreciate the attitude you brought to the conversation as well.
No problem.
Yeah, have a lovely evening. Take care. See you. Ladies and gents, that is a wrap for today's episode. If you believe in what
All right, yeah, man. I thought that was a pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. What was he gonna say?
we're doing here at CGC, you believe these combos need to be had instead of swept under the rug, then like the video and sub to the channel. You can also grab yourself a deck of our controversial conversation cards if you want to have more of these combos in your own life. Because that really is the goal, right? It's not just about me asking the questions, it's about you taking.
Interesting. I might actually think about that. All right, that was a cool video. I liked it.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.